Hello, my name is Jennifer Boughton, and I am a teacher at a Cincinnati area high school, Northwest High School in the Northwest Local School District. I currently am a teacher of physics and mathematics, and I participated in the summer 2020 STEM coding fellowship. And I just wanted to go over some of the highlights of that. The goal of this fellowship was to explore new ways to increase diversity and accessibility for coding in high school STEM students. This was going to be done not just through having a summer fellowship for students, but actually having instructors go through the fellowship so that they could then spread it on to other instructors and exponentially spread it to their students to show them the possibilities that they could have to use computers to solve science and engineering problems. So hopefully this was going to increase the number of teachers that could offer coding opportunities or computer science courses in schools. This was also based on the premise that code.org recently published that in Ohio, only about 45% of schools offer computer science. My high school is not one of those schools. We do not have any programming or computer science classes available. So the details of this fellowship, where it was going to be about 9 weeks. It was going to be completely remote due to the COVID shutdown of things. There would be at least a biweekly check-in with our mentors to update them on the status of our projects and to get more guidance on things that we could do with our project. We use the Slack STEM coding channel for real-time dialogue and projects, networking with other instructors. It was really actually a great way to facilitate a lot of ideas and conversations. I personally was going to attend some seminars and webinars in order to gather more information and resources to use for my overall project. And my overall project, then I decided, was going to be to design activities that I could use in my classroom, whether it was going to be virtual or in person, that my students could use. And to me, it was very important that these activities be accessible and also free for my students to use. Most of my school is on free or reduced lunch. And so having free resources and things to be very accessible to everyone is very important to me and kind of the crux of my research. Our mentors and subject matter experts for this process were Dr. Christopher Orban from Ohio State and Commander Royce James. He's from the Coast Guard, but was on loan to the Air Force Institute of Technology. The first thing I did was I attended the American Physical Society From Passion to Action, Levers and Tools for Making Physics Inclusive and Equitable. It was a webinar and it was a panel session. It was so well executed. There were personal testimonies given and lots of great questions asked. And also, it was very timely for the things that were going on in the nation. And it kind of embodied the launching point for why I'm in education and why this is an important project for me to do. I want all students to have access to such tools for coding, for physics, for math. The next thing I did was I attended the Partnership to Incorporate Computation Undergraduate Physics, or Pickup. They had their summer conference, and I know it says undergraduate physics, but it ended up being really poignant for me because it had a lot of high school applications to it. A lot of high school instructors were there, and the labs were adaptable for a lower level of physics. The main premise of it was that people had to scramble when things went remote in the spring of 2020. They had to figure out how to have students do labs. And so it had a lot of great resources and ideas and successes and not so much successes that people had using remote resources or online resources and having students analyze data with computers and what types of platforms worked well with that and how much coding would they need in order to do an analysis for their physics labs. The next thing I did was I signed up for a creative coding festival, and I have a high school age niece who is good at math and science, but does not care for it, is quite resistant to pretty much anything with math or science in it and has never done any coding before, but she really enjoys art. So I signed us up, both of us, surprise to her, to this creative coding festival. And it was just a one Saturday afternoon. So we both got our laptops out, and she was a little bit resistant at first. And when I told her it was going to involve some computer programming, she was a little bit intimidated. But an hour into it, we were both so engrossed by the material and the presentation that was going on. And I look over, and she has moving graphics and animations on her computer screen that mine were just the sad circle that you see here, these sad colored circles. I was trying to make an art picture, and she was doing graphics. So she had never coded before, and this was actually firsthand experience for me, for a student that thought that this would not be for them, they couldn't do it. She did it, and she was talking about it for about a week afterwards. We both were talking about it. It was such a great experience. Then for a good portion of the summer and for the fellowship, I got to audit the STEM coding class taught by Dr. Christopher Orban, and it was hosted by the American Association of Physics Teachers and the American Institute of Physics. It involved kind of gamifying physics, and it took already created JavaScript code that students would have to alter just a little bit to incorporate their knowledge of physics concepts and make this game work. So there were asteroids games, and there were some other ones like Pog. There was one other one that I had never heard of before, but maybe that's because I'm not much of a gamer always. But it was really interesting to see how exciting it was and how excited all of the people in the class were, even though we were all teachers, at making our games work. And it was really neat that the games would actually work, and it was kind of cute that people wouldn't play each other's games. So this was all online also, so it was also interesting to see this coding experience happening online. I also got to attend the AAPT annual summer conference. This had a ton of information, resources, and these things are still available to me because it was an online platform. You can go anytime and go back and look. So there are some things that I want to go revisit for ideas. It helped with remote ideas, coding ideas, making things applicable for junior high, high school, etc. The other thing that I got to do is at the end of this, I got to help facilitate with Dr. Orban a session of the STEMcoding class that I had taken prior to that. And so then I got to see from the flip side of it what it was like and what pitfalls might happen when my students are in it, because I was helping facilitate the class with him. So it was actually a great experience and gave me good practice. Because I did those classes and I helped facilitate too, I get access to all of the programming and the course to use with my students in my high school physics and math classes. I also attended the SECO, or Science Education Council of Ohio, annual summer symposium. This was great too because it had a lot of things that were relevant to social justice and things that are very important right now. In general, they're important, but they're of high newsworthiness right this moment in our nation. And it also gave me some other good resources for STEM and STEAM partnerships, which is one of the goals of my summer, was to get more resources and more opportunities for my students, so that those students that I have that are first generation students don't just give up and realize that they do have opportunities out there, that they can use their intelligence and they can use their experiences, that they can go to college, that it's not a dead end. A lot of them have given up by the point I get them in math or science classes, and I want to encourage them and have resources to show them how they can have this path in computers or even just math or science if they want it. This also gave me a great resource for a program through AAPT called Step Up, which encourages minorities and women in physics. So then my lab project was, and Yes, that's me very badly shooting a basket. It took quite a few takes for me to make the basket. You can see me smiling at the end of this because I was so excited we didn't have to record it again. Um, I wanted students to be able to go out and use their smartphones or devices and tape themselves or have a friend video them, record them doing something. And then I want to take this and put it into a free platform. We use JS Track, and you can track the motion of the object, and it puts out some nice little data tables for you of the time and the position in X and Y so that we could export this into a spreadsheet and I could have them analyze the data in the spreadsheet using minor coding of the cells in your spreadsheet, which for some of my students, that is a lot. That is way beyond what we've ever done in the school. So this was like a step one for me to show them these are real world applications of things that they are doing. And these students, most high school students, really enjoy having themselves videotaped doing things, sports or other activities. So this is just some more of the videos that I had. And I took these videos again and made a whole bank of them. I actually started a YouTube channel for just these physics videos so that students can go and either use my videos or they can add their own videos for analysis. And then we can take it and do all kinds of things. This one we could, figure out the force, gravity, and also air resistance. So then Dr. Orban said, hey, what if we took colored balls and tried to have the computer track it and see if then it can just immediately extrapolate this data again. So all of these programs, what they need is they just need some type of scale for measurement. So you'll see a nice little meter stick in all of these. And so I spent quite a long time videotaping in slow-mo different colored balls to see which one would be picked up by the computer the best. So here we figured out the green was the best, and he wrote the code for it tracking this green ball and then sent it to me, and I had to alter the code in order for it to track the blue ball just so that we could compare the different colors. This one, it tracked the green ball and then it redrew it so that you could see this nice little projectile motion. And on the right here, you see that it took the data, made some tables, and it automatically, you can just have it make some graphs, which is kind of the premise of what we're having students do in these beginning physics classes. So applications. Again, like I said, I'm a teacher at Northwest High School, and we do a lot of hands-on projects. My students really enjoy hands-on projects because they like to see things happening. They like to do things. And so we do gumball roller coasters. I have them do mousetrap cars. Sometimes we just get an idea and we try a new project. The bottom picture is my students launching eggs instead of just dropping eggs. They didn't want to just do an egg drop, so we decided we were going to do an egg launch. And it actually taught them a lot of really interesting things beyond just the physics that we were trying to have with gravity and projectile motion. And then we have a lot of fun with these, and they're always using found objects. I never have my students buy anything. I supply them with pretty much anything they need for these projects. So it would be really great if maybe we could make videos and then diagram what's happening in our projects too. I also was one of the founders and a supporter still of Girls Who Code at Northwest High School. Like I said, we have no computer programming classes, no coding, nothing. And so the Girls Who Code was a great idea that a co-teacher had and approached me with, and it is still going on. I would like for them and my students all to have access to the products that I have from the summer fellowship and use them and explore them. I am also an adjunct faculty member at University of Cincinnati for their Upward Bound program. And again, I work with students who are usually first generation students trying to make their way into college and find a path of success. So I would like to also use these types of explorations with those students where I teach math and physical sciences. For the future, I would like to continue finding new ways to incorporate coding and programming into my classes somehow spread this to other teachers. I would like to also encourage other teachers, pass along the torch, encourage them maybe through mentoring in future sessions of this summer fellowship. I would love to do the summer fellowship again. I feel like I didn't have enough time. The one thing that I need is more time. I had so many things I still wanted to do. It felt like it went so quickly. It was one of the highlights of my summer, actually, doing all of this. It was great. It gave me some focus outside of, people being locked in their houses, and I could go outside and I could go badly, but I could go shoot a basketball and do something active. And it was great to try to think about how could I use this with computers and my students. Um, I would also like to have more resources for my students in order to achieve and have a vision of success using computers, using their knowledge, and maybe not even necessarily in math or science. Um, like I gave the example of using it in the arts. I think that is a great opportunity for students to see that these things are out there. I just want to give some special thanks to DoD, HPC, High Performance Computing, uh, Air Force Institute of Technology, Wright Pat Air Force Base, Dr. Christopher Orban, and Commander Royce James. And also, I wanted to give a little shout out at the end. We had a lot of discussions about Mrs. Frizzle from Magic School Bus, and it seemed like we had endless conversations about physics and video games, especially in Mario Kart. So these were all just great experiences, and I just want to say thank you. And I really hope that someone else can have this opportunity, and maybe have more time to do it. Thank you.